Hey VC, how you living? It's been a while. Um, Kind of true to my word. I told you guys I'd be taking a break from the VC. At the time of making that video, a few people had reached out to me and was wondering how I was doing, and I felt obligated to make that. Definitely made it on the fly. I have no regrets. I didn't choose my words well, and I wasn't really in a good state to be posting a video, but I felt it was necessary to reach out. Truly overwhelmed by that outpouring of well wishes, good vibes, prayers, and all that. And trust me, I feel them. Um, my current state, I'll get to it quickly so that I can move on to the records for those who are just interested in that. Um, like I told a lot of people, uh, I'm a tough SOB. So they told me I wouldn't even begin to start to learn to walk until 4 to 6 months after the recovery. Here it is, 3 months later, and it's ugly, but I am starting to learn to walk again. So I'm on my own 2 feet or rolling in a chair. So I'm plugging away, and that's the physical update. And Lord knows I don't even want to think about the financial update. I am destroyed. But for people who don't know, I had a job for 15 years, and I started another job, and I was on like day 87 of like a 90-day window of reaching benefits. So, anyways, that kind of ties into how I came about these records. So just prior to that, the transition of going from one job to another, I snuck in a trip to Wilmington, North Carolina. My beloved sister Lisa lives there, and my lady Veronica and I shot up there to visit her before she sold her house. She's since relocated to Greenville, South Carolina. Super stoked for that. Been a blessing to have her in my life during all these experiences, turmoils and trials and tribulations and what have you. But so there's a couple cool shops in Wilmington, but my favorite place isn't a traditional record store. It's a antique store. So at one point it used to be antique and furniture, and they kind of get into like consignment. And there's some people that have oddities, and I think they rebranded, or I don't know how long they have been branded, but long and short, it's Baker Street Curiosity Shop. So furniture from everything to vintage posters and magazines and comic books and old signs and uh, chinaware and old mason jars and jugs and whatever you can imagine that people might want to put in a consignment shop. But for at least a couple years in the corner, there's been, I don't know, I took a photograph of it, so I'll insert it somewhere. Um, there's been a little record booth there in the corner of Baker Street Curiosity Shop. And it used to be that it was just gems, not just like, but like gems at a good price. And of course, there's been a big rise in popularity or demand for vinyl records, and then a spate in pricing during that resurgence. So I still find goodies there, but not nearly at the discount price that they once were. But beggars can't be choosers, and I always go there and I find something good. So here we go, coming in hot. Woo! Shout out Bob Bradley. A mono first press on Liberty, Jan and Dean, Drag City. I've said this before in the past. I always get stoked for any time I go to the beach, because when I do so, forgive me if I bump this table. Real estate is a commodity in this room. But so back to the point. Drag City, 1963, mono on Liberty. Clean record, This is really pleased with that. Classic label, stupid clean. I've passed on this record a couple times because I was just like, this doesn't command a whole lot of money that I let go the beaters for half the price, So when you find this in its best condition, it still doesn't hurt the wallet too much. So the titular track, Drag City, is awesome, followed by Schlock Rod, the weakest link on this album. They try to do comedy at times in their career and it doesn't work out. Stingray is priceless. Like most surf and drag albums in the early mid-60s, Little Deuce Coupe from also 1963, Beach Boys' Surfer Girl album. Little Deuce Coupe is recycled. If you guys aren't in the know, Deuce Coupe is a 32 Ford. The Deuce representing the 2 in 1932. So Drag Strip Girl, because you got to have your girl track in there. And Surf and Hearse and Surf Route 101 it closes with. Otherwise, it's mostly car music. It's more hot rod music here than surf music. But Dead Man's Curve is classic on this. This is the original version of this that predates the much more prolific version you're gonna know as a 1964 single. That's the one with the horns, the backing vocals, and then the sound effects like the screeching tires and the car crash. But Dead Man's Curve is the absolute classic. There's actually a genre kind of in that era that kind of overlapped in other things like the teen tragedy songs, and that would qualify as one of those. And also on here, Hot Stalker is a track I love. Hot Stalker, I think the song revolves around a fuel-injected 283 V8 1957 Chevy. And you have to imagine at that time some lowly 150 or 210 Chevy, or even if it was a Bel Air 1963 with its 61 through 63 models and then the upcoming 64 models, big blocks were taken over. The 409 cubic inch, 409 horsepower Chevy, and the Fords and the 413 Ram Chargers with the cross Ram dual quads and all that jazz. Cars were taken over. But I went on a car rant there. I know some people love that. But next. All right. I'm still in the process of replacing some things I used to have on CD and cassette that I no longer own. So I don't want to get into the debate of the pressings of this. I don't care about the debate if this is the 8th album or the 10th album, depending on if you collect UK or US. I don't care if you are pro London or pro Decca. I know a lot of people got roasted in the comment sections and belittled if they thought to purchase the recent repress of this. And I also know a lot of people that are upset that the Rolling Stones aren't getting the backing or the respect, or they're not being paid homage properly with the repressings of their 50th anniversaries the way that the Beatles are. But anyways, Let It Bleed, 1969. Like I say, about 9th, 10th album. They were absolutely hammering it. This is still when they're mostly blues rock. Some up tempo, boogie blues in here too. Some country twist on this, like it ends with Country Honk, which is a country version of Honky Tonk Woman. Let It Bleed was supposed to be the was the lead off single, was supposed to be the big hit on that. But that does not stand the test of time. The big ones that stood the test of time are Gimme Shelter, one of my top 10 all-time Rolling Stones songs likely, and one that the radio kind of abused but still very famous, You Can't Always Get What You Want. And then also, if I'm not mistaken, the B-side to the single Let It Bleed was You Got the Silver, which I think is probably the most underappreciated song on this album, which is also... I may be wrong. Someone like Bobby Gass, correct me if I'm wrong. Bobby Gass, a bank of knowledge on the Rolling Stones. I think that was Keith Richards' first solo lead singles. I think he'd done backgrounds in the past, but I might not recall that right. Someone's autograph doesn't really hurt my feelings. I don't know if this is a cake or a pizza, but they did. As a chef, I'm going to have to go and say that they did a terrible job. But... fairly clean, super pleased with it. On London, I think one side has a slight little paper scuff on it. Outside of that, that's about it. And then I also love the classic tie-in with the pink frosting on the top. They tied in the inner sleeve to the outer sleeve. I like that whenever there's a sense of plan or unity in design. I always dig that. All right, so one album we may dismiss in Surf and Drag to an obligatory album that most people are either going to be aware of or own themselves, to a little bit more of the obscure, or maybe just obscure for someone. She was dropping a big bulk of albums when I was, a nubile individual in this world. Nina Hagen. So this is weird oddity nonsense. So maybe I'll just flip backwards as I talk about it. And you could take in all the business in the back. So Nina Hagen was kind of like a weirdo performance artist, vocalist that did everything from like Euro dance pop, new wave, electro trip hop to punk rock, experimental ruckus over the years. A lot of which some people would qualify as borderline outsider music. So she had like a really flamboyant, over the top gesturing and wiggling stage performance with like contorted faces and yada yada yada. I'll be honest with you, I know her from a David Bowie cover, and I know she did some covers, including this one on here, which is Norman Greenbaum's "Spirit in the Sky" on the B side. I want to say Universal Radio, the lead-off song, was supposed to be the hit on this, but it was probably more of a hit in Germany than America. She's peculiar. You can look up old video of her being interviewed by David Letterman when he had the poofy hair. But she was a quirky character, once again, if you can't tell by the album cover. But so this is like 84, 85? 85, CBS Records. This is stupid clean. So either someone prized this, or what I'm thinking is that it was so weird that they're like, once was enough. I kind of wanted to experience Nina Hagen as a album. So I'd seen her performances. It's weird. I don't know if I wonder if you're going to be better. I don't know if you're going to have a better light of her by seeing that, okay, wow, her weird performance fits her weird vocals. Or maybe you could just enjoy it more if you didn't watch her be the weirdo. Maybe it goes hand in hand. That's for whatever's opinion. But I figured, man, the one I'm really looking for is the follow-up to this, which I think is the EP. When she goes from more new wave to just straight more punk rock. I think it's called Punk Wedding. That's the one I'd really want. But I figured, man, let me see what this album actually plays like as a album front to back. And then I had to buy this because I don't know how well it's going to show up. But my dear friend Davis Winchester is on the back album cover, which is kind of crazy because I thought he was younger than me. All right, the next thing here. 10 years after. So this is one of those things I mentioned a long time ago in the video. My real introduction to this, besides back in the 90s when the Woodstock anniversaries were coming around and they had Woodstock 2 and everything, and they were re-releasing and rebranding all things Woodstock. I know I had like the double CD or triple CD box set back in the day, and 10 years after was featured on that. I don't even recall the song on that, but it wouldn't be this. This is 1971. This having probably their biggest hit ever. I'd Love to Change the World. This is a Space and Time. I had to double check here. I spun this recently. Well, I didn't get to spin it yet. I've been in the fucking hospital or rehab facility for months on end here. But I played it on my phone while I was just kind of like, Veronica brought me this and I was peeling off price tags and etc. and just, revisiting records I've yet to get a spin because of circumstances of a new job and then a unfortunate accident. But so Steve Carlson some time ago, was just like, dude, that's an album that you need to get, that's a band you need to get into, Cheap Heat. And so I kept on passing on beater copies. And usually if a band's continuously you find beat up, people probably like spinning it. So not only did I notice that there's less and less copies available while I was passing on them, that the prices were going up during that process as well. So I wish I found this a few years ago. It still wasn't crazy. I think this is like a $15, $16 album. But probably 5 years ago it would have been a sub $10 album. It's pretty good. This is post Summer of Love, 1971, like I say. The other one I have is Want, I want to say is 1970. The only other one I have is a 1968 live album called Undead. Besides that, I want to say that they had 3 or 4 albums prior to these two, which I'm slowly looking for. But I guess if I didn't even really get into it because I got on a sidetrack in my experience of how I got in the band. It was just one of those weird things that I was always aware of, but I never gave a whole lot of time to or actively pursued. And then once I did, I was like, it's a pretty decent band and still fairly affordable. I would say affordable if you like this. This is totally affordable if you like this. Fairly affordable for what records you're going for nowadays, regardless. But the earlier stuff, psychedelic tinge, sometimes even jazz rocky, but up-tempo, hard rockin' boogie blues rock. That's how I'd sum up 10 years after. All right, and then also kind of in the psychedelic wheelhouse. I'm going to leave this here in the outer sleeve because it's got a pretty nasty seam split on both top and bottom. But this is a tricolor reprise on the Italian Neapolitan colors. The original trio of Neapolitan ice creams flavors being from Prussia, if I'm not mistaken. But that aside, the Electric Prunes travel up to the underground. You know what? I don't want to be a contrarian here. I don't think I need to talk about this album too much because prior to the whole new jazz wave in the VC, there was a huge psychedelic wave in the VC. And so this album was probably discussed at length. But as not to be a contrarian, but just to speak my mind, I believe I prefer this over the what more people would consider the more desirable, I believe, self-titled 1966. That's the one with the had too much to dream last night, and I would also state that I believe that's their best song by and large, but this is the better album overall. So, and then while I'm at it, I also think Easter Everywhere is better than Psychedelic Sounds of. And then I'll even throw freaking Blues Magoos in there as well. I think Electric Comic Book is better than Psychedelic Lollipop. But I guess whenever I return to my records and get out of this medical facility, I can reassess that if anyone's hit. Hey, I have a hankering to know what's going on. How do you feel about Blues Magoo? But yeah, that being said, I'm a little feisty. I still got energy. I'm not lying down and dying here. I'm doing okay. Ignoring the pain, push through, screw narcotics, stay positive. But I know I answered to hundreds of them, and I still need to get back on to responding to all the people that are nice enough to respond to my last comment. Big thanks to some of the people that spoke to me and kept me company and called me and comforted me. Big thanks to everyone that donated in that GoFundMe. My mom and sister were around the clock taking care of me and handling my finances and getting insurance in order and all these things. And I got to break them off briefly. And then my soon-to-be fiance, she's going to have to sell her car, and then we're going to buy a truck, and then I'm probably going to sell my remaining vehicles and yada, yada, yada. So that GoFundMe's been a tremendous help. That being said, I'm financially destroyed, so maybe at some point in the future when I have a hard number of however many hundreds of thousands I owe to the government, I'll tell my story and ask and start a proper GoFundMe for myself. But big thanks to Aaron, the metal theologian, during that circumstance. And I'm rambling, and some of it probably doesn't make sense because it's bedtime, but I'm tired, I'm drained, but you're never really comfortable, and there's no such thing as quiet, darkness, or comfortability at night in this place. So I've been listening to a lot of chill reggae in the background, but keep it under 20 minutes. Hopefully enjoyed my, maybe I'll put in timestamps so you can avoid my how the State of the Union of Eric Weinbender to open up and finish, to bookend this video. But if you appreciate it, cool beans, I appreciate you. And if you just wanted to see what a fool like me bought in a oddity shop in Wilmington, North Carolina, while chilling with my sister and my lady, then mission complete. Gravity Records coming up, if you can't tell by the peekaboo in the background, as well as Yellow Dog Records. Shout out Ralph Bolton. Take care, be well, peace, cheers, God bless, all that jazz.